Okay. Good afternoon. And welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. You will have to forgive Paul. He's having to really abandon himself to me today. Because there's something I need to speak about. It's really not anything different from what we've been speaking of for the last 3 or 4 weeks, but in a way it brings the point home in the most practical of terms. We've talked about shifting, we'll say operating systems, shifting from the habit and principle of getting to that of giving, to that of the extension of love. It's a wonderful idea, isn't it? It's pleasing to think about it. But it seems to be an entirely different thing to live it, doesn't it? Getting is based upon the idea that the only way to survive is for relationships to be transactional. Why? Because the rules of transactional relationships provide you with a guarantee. A guarantee that you will not end up being shortchanged. This for that. I'll take care of you and all your needs if you will take care of me and all my needs. But you begin to fall short of meeting my needs, and I'm out of here. This is really the practical bottom line of marriages, isn't it? Or of any somewhat harmonious and ongoing relationship. But you know what? Another part of the bottom line of transactional relationships is the premise that each of you is perfectly individual, perfectly independently deposited into the middle of the universe. You're taught to grow up and learn to stand on your own 2 feet, aren't you? To be respectably self-sufficient. Living that way is hell. Because it's based upon a fundamental illusion. The truth that counteracts and obliterates that illusion is that every single one of you is irrevocably one with every other individual irrevocably one with the whole brotherhood, and even more primarily than that, irrevocably one with your source. Therefore, there's no way for you to be independent. There's no way for you to be successful, respectably successful in your own right. Whether you want to look at it or not, you are all dependent upon each other. Dependent upon each other, not really because you're helpless, but dependent upon each other because you're incomplete without each other. You're incomplete without each other. And you know what? The only thing that is going to move you into the experience of your unity with everyone else, and therefore the experience of the wholeness of you, is going to be when you shift from getting to giving. When you shift from behaving so as to protect yourself into behaving because you care about another. And because you care enough to extend the very best. Which means relinquishing your habitual way of reacting from memory to every situation, and instead choosing to give your attention to that place of excellence in you and extend yourself from there. Now, we've talked about this before. I haven't shocked you with anything new today. You might say that when we've talked about it before, it's been like classwork, and now today we're going to have a little lab work, you see, where what we've been talking about gets translated into practical application, if I may put it that way. And I have a specific focus, but this specific focus is easily transferable by all of you into every other area of your lives as well. I've set up the work that Paul and I are doing together with all of you. I have set it up on a gift basis, not a transactional basis. Not one of you can get what we're giving by paying for it. And not one of you will be deprived of what we're giving if you can't pay for it, because it is not transactional. It is a gift of love. Now, it's easy for you to comprehend that I might be extending it because it's love with no strings attached, that it is an act of love. But I've got to make it very clear, if you aren't recognizing that this extension of mine is happening because Paul is equally engaging in the extension of love, you're missing something essential. Paul is not in this to get. He's in it because he cares. He's in it and he engages in the extension Because in this one area, he is perfectly willing to be nothing other than the presence of love extending. Now that's the fact. In this respect, he stands with me, not behind me, but with me. And he engages in it flawlessly. Now, others observing him, coming from the getting place, which is deeply ingrained in their psyche, you might say, because they are so completely committed to it, might look at Paul and say, he's got something up his sleeve. They might look at him with distrust. Well, he has hidden motives. No one would be that stupid. No one would be that foolish. Well, he is. And I'm encouraging every one of you to become that foolish. Foolish enough not to abandon all common sense and go off into the wild blue yonder, but to be foolish enough to abandon the deeply ingrained habit of control for the sake of self-preservation. And instead, literally, and as consistently as possible, with as much commitment as possible, go within to that place of excellence, which is the Holy Spirit, which is nothing more than your right mind, and be spontaneously without a plan. Plans are there to keep you safe. No, I'm encouraging all of you to do exactly what I'm doing and exactly what Paul is doing. Dare to find that place of excellence in you where the experience of love emerges in you as you and naturally seeks expression or extension toward an object of your affection, to someone or many ones that it's your desire to care about, and to limit your expression of yourself to actions and words and behaviors that stand in support of everything that is excellent about everyone else that you come in contact with. Now, I am aware that when I say that the fundamental step of waking up is the abandonment of transactional relationships, is the abandonment of self-protection, is the abandonment of control, it's very hard to hear. It's very hard to hear. It's very hard to let it register. And yet, It literally is the act of separate self-protection that keeps you bound in what you call the human condition, which is a suffering condition, a stressful condition, full of strife, full of overcoming, full of battle. Now, I don't like calling it, quote, the work that we do, unquote, Paul and I. But this activity, this movement of the extension of love that we are engaged in, is valuable. Is it arrogance for me to say that? No. It's important for me to say it because it's important for you to know that if you're willing to abandon self-protection and engage in defenseless extension of love, that what you will be doing will be valuable as well. You see? It won't be just a crazy thing that an eccentric person does. It will be valuable. Now, I could say that it will be valuable because you're not standing in the way of God's self-expression, and that would be true. But more than anything, it is valuable because when you engage with your brothers and sisters in this fashion, it changes the tone of the human experience. And it changes the tone of the human experience by bringing forth and illuminating all that is excellent in it, period. It is valuable because it inspires a change of perception and therefore a change in behavior, and therefore a change of what is embodied in families, in communities, in countries, in the world. Now, why am I bringing up? Where's the lab work here? Very simply, the lab work is that we're at a potential turning point. We, meaning myself, Paul, Susan, Chris, those involved in the extension of this work. Because support for the work is decreasing. Mind you, it's an interesting phenomenon. Support, and I mean by that financial support, is decreasing while interest in the materials is increasing. Gratitude for the materials is increasing. And it doesn't make sense, does it? And here's the reason it doesn't make sense. When a gift is given, received and valued, but gratitude isn't expressed, the gift of love isn't fully actualized. What does it say in the first chapter of Genesis, 31st verse? And God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. In other words, mind observed its creations and recognized itself in it. In other words, for creation to have been complete, there had to be self-recognition. There had to be acknowledgement, recognition by God of himself in what he was being. And I will tell you something. That's when joy came into being in the movement of creation. Now, you know, it's been suggested that if indeed I am the Christ, why don't I just make a miracle so that Paul can win the lottery? Or a sudden, unexpected inheritance that will make him forever self-sufficient. Well, because that's not the miracle I'm working on. The miracle I'm working on is that everyone recognizes the part they play. So that having received the gift and being in an ongoing, constant receipt of ongoing gifting, they abandon, you abandon, whoever you are, the transactional basis for relating. And let two things happen. One, recognize that if there is something that has great value to you, it probably will have great value to others as well. And you would like to support the availability and extension of what's of value to you to them as well. And the other thing, which is almost more essential, is to not slight Paul or Susan or Chris in the recognition of what they are doing, how it relates to you, and finding a way to express gratitude as a consummation of the movement of love that you are benefiting by. So that the gift comes full circle. Now, it's very easy for your ego to say, well, that's just a different form of transaction. I'm still going to have to pay for it. No. You're going to get it whether you pay for it or not. And it's not going to be withheld from you if you don't pay for it. You know what it's going to cost you? Here's what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you your ability to remain aloof and independent and not be an active participant in the movement of love and its extension. Oh, you're going to have to be involved. You're going to have to participate. But until you begin to participate in the movement of love, by recognizing it, acknowledging it, and expressing gratitude for it, the love doesn't become a singularity. It doesn't become a wholeness, just as creation would not have become a singularity or a wholeness if God had refused to recognize himself in creation. That's where you begin to own who you are. And that you are inseparable from your brothers and sisters. That's where you begin to recognize that transactional relationships are a fraud. That keep unity from happening. That keeps unity from being experienced. Now, practical brass tacks. There are 3 more days in the month. The bills, which have yet to be paid and which are now late for this month, amount to approximately $1,500. Part of that is for the telephone lines, which are responsible for carrying all this information to everyone else via the internet. That means every one of you who are listening right now. If the bill isn't paid, the telephone company turns off the line. Simple. Well, some of you say, Paul maybe ought to handle the finances better. Well, let me ask you this. Let's be intelligent. If there aren't enough finances to cover utilities, electricity, telephone lines, and perhaps the mortgage, and as many of them are getting paid as there is money for, where is there money left over to mismanage? Now, the fact is, you see, and it's quite possible for one who is fully awake to point your eyes and your attention in the direction of what is practical. If you value what is happening here, and if I have set it up so that the only way it can happen is on the basis of the extension of love, on the basis of gift, then if you value it, you better find out what your part to play is in it. And recognize that you can't skip over that one little point called gratitude and still have the full meaning of the gift of love actualized for you.